Hi, I'm Phil, Youth Services Librarian at Octavia Flynn Public Library. Welcome to Eureka, a science and technology program for elementary and middle school aged kids. The whole month of January, we are going to be celebrating International Creativity Month by being inventors. And today we're going to be inventing an index card flashlight. We're going to be learning about electricity and circuits a lot along the way, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at the materials we'll be using for this activity today. Inside of the supply kit, which you can request at ofpl.online if you don't already have it, you will have an index card, a small 3-volt battery, an LED light bulb, and a craft stick that has some masking tape and some aluminum foil wrapped around it. And you can take the aluminum foil off of the stick because we'll be using that later on. To start out, we're going to just use these two pieces, our battery and our LED light bulb. So grab both of those. And the first challenge I have for you is to take these two things and see if you can make the light bulb light up. Go ahead and pause the video right now and play around for about a minute or two until you figure out how to make the bulb light up. And then we'll continue on. Okay, I hope that you noticed that in the LED light bulb, there are actually two wires coming out. One of the wires is long and one of the wires is short. The long wire is called the positive wire. The short wire is the negative wire. You may also have looked closely at your battery and noticed that the top of the battery that has the writing on it has a little plus sign on the top. That's the positive side of the battery. On the back side, there's nothing, but the part that has the sort of waffle grid on the back is the negative side of the battery. So in order to make our light bulb light up, we have to connect the long wire of our LED bulb to the positive side and the short wire of our LED bulb to the negative side. And we have a little mini flashlight. So now the next step we're going to do is we're going to turn that into a usable flashlight. So let's take our index card next. And we're going to take what we learned about our positive and negatives, and we're actually going to write ourselves a little assistance first on our card. So take your index card, and if you have a pen or pencil on hand, that would be really useful. And on our card, I'm going to actually turn our card sideways. And on the top of one of my sides of my card, I'm going to write L+. And that's going to stand for the long wire and the positive side of the battery. I'm going to flip my card over and do the same thing, but now I'm going to write S-. And that's going to remind me that that's going to be for the short side of my LED, my short wire, and the negative side of the battery. Now that my index card is ready, I'm going to put my LED bulb onto my card. And I'm going to use my letters to help me remember which way to put my LED bulb. So I'm going to make sure when I put my LED bulb on there that the long wire is on the L side. And if I flip it over, my short wire is on the S side. So now that I have my LED bulb lined up correctly on my card, I need to secure my bulb because it's a little bit loose right now. So I'm going to take a little bit of my masking tape and get a piece to use. And the next thing that I'm going to do, and this is really important, is I'm going to rip my tape in half lengthwise so that it's not quite as wide. And the reason for that is I need to have a little bit of my wire sticking out below the tape. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And now my LED bulb is secure. Now, remember that the long wire of the LED bulb needs to touch somehow the positive side of my battery. I could just flip my battery over and touch it right there, and it's touching the positive side. But now I need to figure out some way to connect the short wire with the negative side of the battery. And that is where our aluminum foil comes in. Aluminum foil is conductive. It allows electrons to flow through it, which means that an electrical current can pass through it from the battery into the LED bulb and back again. So this is sort of like a wire, and we're going to be using our aluminum foil like a wire to connect the rest of our card. The next thing I'd like you to try is to see if you can pause this video and invent the rest of this flashlight on your own. Remember that the long wire of the LED bulb needs to somehow be connected, either by touching it or with aluminum foil, the positive side of the battery, and the short side of my LED bulb needs to somehow be connected, either with aluminum foil or by touching it, the negative side of my battery. Hopefully by now you've figured out a way to make your LED flashlight work. But let me show you the way that I did it. The first thing that I did was I took my aluminum foil and I slid it right underneath of my long wire. And then I took a piece of my masking tape and taped it down so that it didn't move around a whole lot. I really want to make sure that the long end of the wire is touching that aluminum foil. The next thing that I did was I actually took my aluminum foil and wrapped it all the way around the bottom of my battery so it was coming up on the other side. And then I actually tore my aluminum foil so that it came up just a little ways. Then I secured that with a small piece of tape so that it stayed in place. Now remember, this piece of aluminum foil is connected to the long side of my LED bulb, so I need the positive side of my battery to be touching this. So I'm actually going to put my battery down on top of this foil with the positive side down, and now it's touching the foil. I'm also going to get a little bit more tape now to try and keep that battery in place so it doesn't slide around too much. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on either side of the battery. I really want to make sure that most of the top of the battery is showing because it needs to be able to touch the foil. There. Now if I'm carrying my flashlight around on a dark night, my battery isn't going to fall off. The last thing that I need to do is somehow connect my short wire to the negative side of the battery. So I'll repeat the same process I did before. I'm going to take some of my foil and slide it under that short wire and tape it in place and make sure that it's connecting. And now I should be able to test this out. If I connect this aluminum foil to the negative side of the battery, my LED bulb should light up. And it does. The next thing I'm going to need to be able to do is figure out how to make my flashlight turn on and off. And so I think right now my foil is a little bit too long. I'm going to trim it off so that it just is long enough to be able to touch the battery. If I had a little bit of tape on either side to keep my foil down right here, it should make a nice little flap of foil, and I just have to press it to turn my flashlight on, and then when I let go, it should turn off. Now, my last challenge to you, and this one is open-ended, is to see if you can design a switch for your flashlight. This switch works okay, although if I put this flashlight in my pocket, it might actually be on all the time. So I wonder if you could take another piece of paper or something and design a switch that would always turn the flashlight on when you pressed it, and always turn the flashlight off when you let go. You get to be the inventor here and design the rest of this flashlight on your own. Thanks so much for joining us for Eureka today. As always, you're welcome to join us in person at 4 o'clock on Mondays, where we get to create and invent together to celebrate International Creativity Month. I hope to see you there. Thanks.